Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at an easy way to tell if your car's consuming any engine coolant by doing basically just one simple thing. Some of you might already be aware of this, but I got these two cars out here today. This is my 98 Honda Civic EX with a VTEC engine, and this is my 2004 Lincoln LSV8. This particular car, the Lincoln, is known after a certain amount of time for needing head gasket repair. This car is a fairly high mileage car. It's a little bit under 150k at this moment, and the Civic is very low mileage. It's at 50,000 miles original at this moment in time. So basically what we're going to be doing is checking one thing. So it's pretty straightforward. You come over to the oil fill cap, you basically unscrew it, and make sure you do this on a cold engine. It's very important that the engine is cold. And at first glance, you'll basically know what to look for. So we're going to look at this, and then we'll see what we're going to look for. So we're going to look at the top of this oil cap. So I don't see any white residue. What I do see is a nice amount of oil at the top, and that's what you want to see. So why do I say that? So basically, when your engine is consuming antifreeze, you will know that not only because, you know, eventually your engine will start to overheat if you don't replenish the antifreeze in time, but also because basically the oil fill cap is the highest point of your engine. So the antifreeze and the water that's in it tends to evaporate at the top, and when it does that, it basically forms a slightly white compound, like a paste, kind of sort of like a toothpaste, and you will see that. So if you don't see it, then chances are that the head gasket in your engine is okay. So let's check this Honda Civic right here. So I have a normal amount of coolant. I know for a fact that this car does not consume any coolant. You could see the level right there. It's a little bit above the high fill level. And both of these engines are cold, mind you. So I'm going to open this. And also, as you look over, like I mentioned before, this is the highest part of the engine. So if you are consuming coolant in the engine, you will see a white sludge on top of the cap. So let's look at this one. This one is perfect as well. Nothing to really notice. You'll also see a little bit of oil there on top. That's normal. That's what you want to see. Even the inside, I don't know if you guys could see, but it's very clean inside. And I know for a fact both these engines do not consume any coolant. You could have other scenarios, and particularly in this Lincoln LSV8, where a lot of your plastic connections will eventually start leaking. One of the most common areas on this particular car that goes for the V8 model, which is the 2003 and up to 06, is this top radiator hose T connection. You could see I'm pointing right here is this little molding. I did have this recently replaced maybe 2 to 3 years ago at this point, but it does leak basically after 10 years of use. So this car hit 10 years about 2 years ago, so that makes sense that it would start leaking. It's not an expensive part. It's about 60 bucks from the dealer. Basically a plastic molded piece right here. It literally leaks from the molded connections, which is really weird. It doesn't really leak. It kind of precipitates, as I would like to say. Another issue on these cars is the upper water inlet right here, right next to the thermostat. So this is the thermostat. Basically it's inside. I'm not going to open it because every time you have to open it in these cars, you have to bleed the system again. It's fairly complicated. If you're interested in how to bleed the LSV8, just check out a video I made recently. It's a good process on this particular car. So it also leaks basically from all these water inlet right here. You can get a lot of these parts on Amazon. They're not that expensive collectively. So you can replace it. I've actually used non-original parts and no big deal so far for years at a time actually. Also the actual overflow tank. Now in this car, it's level right now. It doesn't consume anything and it doesn't leak anything for a fact. I know that. But these also develop cracks at the bottom of the tank over time because the temperatures they go through are so you know, high and low when the car is cold that eventually will well crack. Also the actual cap, make sure that it's definitely tight. You know, these caps have to hold at least 16 psi, which is basically, think about it, if your tires inflated 32 psi on average, then you know, the cooling system is using about half the air pressure as your actual tires are. And that's pretty significant. So a lot of times, you know, if you don't have a perfect seal here, it will still, your car will not run properly. Maybe the fans will go on all the time and it'll have a hard time, I guess, cooling itself down. I've noticed that in this car previously when I did repair that exact issue, to be honest with you. So there you go, guys. That's a great and easy way to check whether your engine is consuming any coolant and whether you have a head gasket leak. And if you do, what you can do is, you know, if it's not severe, if the car is drivable, you can just try some of the head gasket repair solutions. Basically, the way those additives work is it's kind of an oily substance. You pour it in and it expands the engine seals in the motor, and hopefully when the seals expand a little bit, it'll create a better seal in the little passageways where your coolant is flowing. That's physically how it works. Now sometimes it does clog some of your you know, passageways if they're already kind of gunked up from old or bad coolant you might have in a system. So you might want to do the last 1,000 miles before your oil change. Hopefully it'll repair the issue in the last 1,000 miles, you know, and then you can just flush it out with a fresh oil change and then see if that changes anything. But there you go, guys. And by the way, this was a response to a viewer that I had. If you guys have any questions about anything in terms of vehicle maintenance, just feel free to ask. I'll always be happy to make a response video to one of you and give you guys a shout out too. Well, thanks so much and stay tuned for more.